Dear students, welcome to Class 8 Geography, and today we will proceed with the chapter Migration. In the last class, the previous class, we ended up with the type of internal migration number 2, that is the migration from rural area to urban area, and today we will see migration from urban to urban area, that is from small towns to big cities. Under this, people migrate from small towns with very little facilities to large cities or metro cities with more facilities. As a result, the metro cities are growing at a much faster rate as compared to other towns. In fact, smaller towns are constantly losing to big cities because the space that is created in small towns because of the emigration that is filled up by the subsequent in-migration from the surrounding rural areas. Number 4 is urban to rural migration. What is this movement? When people move from big cities or towns back to villages. Now such a movement, that is from cities and towns to villages, it takes place at the advanced stage of urbanization. Because of very high industrialization and urbanization, some of the mega cities come under immense pressure of overcongestion, haphazard growth, high cost of living, heavy pressure on public utility services, unemployment, and that is the time when people decide to move on to their own homes that is there in the villages. Now we will see the impact or the consequence of migration. This impact can be positive or beneficial, or it can be negative or harmful. We will start with number 1, that is the demographic consequence, that is related with the population of any region. Let's see first of all the demographic consequence or the result. Emigration reduces the population density for the donor region, which helps to control overpopulation. Now this is the positive side of migration from the sending region, because it reduces the population density if the people are emigrating from there. But what is the negative side of it? It leads to unbalanced demographic distribution of population within the country or within any region, because only the able-bodied young people migrate from villages to cities or to other countries, and that is to in search of jobs. And what happens? The rest of the family members, they stay back, and that leads to serious imbalances in age as well as sex ratio. We can see similar imbalances in the recipient states also, or the states which are receiving those immigrants. This is about demographic consequence. Number 2 is economic consequence. In this, what is the positive side of it? The sending country gains through migrants because they transfer their earning to the home country in the form of foreign exchange. For example, there are many families in Kerala, all those who have attained a better standard of living with the money that is sent back by the family members. They are working in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Kuwait, various other places in Arabian countries. And this is the positive side we can see. Now, let's see the negative side of it. Emigration leads to a loss of labor, especially skilled workforce, and that slows down the productivity as well as the economic growth of the sending country. Now we will see the receiving country, what it gains. It gains. It's a positive side for them as immigration increases the supply of labor, and that is mostly skilled labor, which increases employment, production, and thus national income. But what is the negative side for the receiving country? Large scale immigration increases the pressure on local resources, especially in already crowded areas such as cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Kanpur. For example, you see if a large number of houses are built in a small space, most people have to live in small apartments. There is very high house rent, land prices are very high, and those who cannot afford it, they cannot afford housing of that the rent, they'll have to live in shanties or the slums in a very congested and insanitary conditions. And there is heavy burden on public utility services also. Sometimes industries prefer to employ cheap migrant labor, and that results into loss of jobs for the locals. Number 3 consequence is social consequence. The positive side, the receiving areas receive people that is belonging to different cultures through migration, and that leads to cultural interaction and enrichment. The presence of people of different races, religions, languages and cultures in a society increases the understanding and tolerance among different groups. Let's see the negative side of it. Large scale immigration of people having a language, religion and culture different from the locals may cause conflict. Some examples are the violent ethnic clashes that resulted from the large scale migration of Jews to Israel and Tamil groups to Sri Lanka. Now, emigration, it causes family structures and relationships to break down because men often migrate without their families. Fragmentation of social networks, psychosocial stress are the other negative impacts of migration. This is all about today's students. In the last class, I gave you some question answers to write. You write all the answers and learn it. And today what has been taught, you just go through it. And next I will proceed with the chapter next week. Then I will give you some more questions on it. And for this week, you will go through the content that is given and you will see the types of migration as well as the consequences of migration. Thank you.